Hey everybody, Chef here. Actually this is for December 10th and the 11th, Thursday and Friday. And the main focus of this is it will be a study guide for basic seasoning methods, and there's a quiz, and I will go over that. So we reviewed the saute cooking method a little bit more on Thursday. Please, once again, Q2 assignments. You can still complete them. Kind of keep me in the loop when you send them in, and I should be able to see, but you can still complete those. Remember, you're responsible for missing assignments. If you see a problem in the grade book, let me know. And if it's missing something and you don't think that you have completed it, let me know. But it's up to you to inform me. This is the main thing we'll be talking about today: salt, herbs, and spices. We talked about the salt portion on Thursday a little bit more, and then we'll talk about basic seasoning methods right now. Let's get started. But before we start, I want to bring this up really quick. Please keep up in all your classes. I understand that I'm not your guidance counselor, but I do care about you guys, and I want you to do well in school. And I can see your grades, and some of you need to put a little bit more effort in. So if you can't attend these Google Meets, I understand, but I do post videos by the end of the day. If you can attend these Google Meets, it makes it a lot easier. We just go over everything together as a group. It'll actually save you some time if you can do it. Please make sure you log in daily to Schoology, okay, and check on your assignments. If you're having Wi-Fi or tech issues, you need to inform your instructors and let them know. You just can't sit there and go, well, don't have the internet today, guess I won't be doing any work. You need to find a way to inform them of any situations you're having. And once again, nobody is making me say this to you. I just want you to do well. And I really can't speak for all instructors, but unless you haven't shown up to anything, I think it's not too late to catch up if you're willing to put in the work that you're behind on. So ask your instructors, call the school, that's why they're there, and see if you can get caught up. And if you need any assistance from me, I'd be more than happy to try to point you in the right direction. Okay, that's enough of that. Soups the World assignment. Guess what? If you haven't turned it in, if you're looking at this video now and it is Friday, it's probably too late. But we'll see. Let's see if you get that in, and I'll consider it. But we're gonna review this week as a group, and if all the assignments aren't in, it doesn't really work. So see if you can get that in. Once again, the saute method. We talked about this a little bit, and we were talking a little bit about Asian cooking and ingredients. And the main point here is. This gentleman on the right, I think he actually is sauteing. It's just a GIF, so it only gets so far. You can't really see him flipping. I picked this one right here just because I thought it looked cool. But right here, we're going to talk about now, when do you start, seasoning, and how do you go about that? Let me go on to the next slide. So we talked about salt and what salt is used by professional cooks, and really should be used by all people, and that is kosher salt. Kosher salt is the go-to salt in the industry. I mean, obviously people use other kinds of salt, but for actual cooking, I'd say it's the most commonly used for professional cooks. That is a test question right there. The answer is kosher salt. And the reason, if you'll see here, that it's a good salt too, you can kind of gauge on how much you're using, because it's kind of it's a larger, coarse salt, and you can kind of feel it in your hands, and it gives you kind of an idea of how much you're using. It would be very hard to figure out how much you're using if you're using a very fine salt. And here's another question. That's going to be a true or false question right here. It is always better to under-season food than to over-season it, especially with salt. You can't take the salt back out. Some people say when you make a soup, if it's too salty, you can put a potato in it. I'm not buying into that. Just be careful. Don't get heavy-handed with the salt. and you'll be okay. You can always add more, but you cannot add less. And I'm not saying the food should be bland, and that's the real key. Let me move to this next slide. Maybe this will explain it a little bit better, but it is key that you don't oversalt. Let me move to this next slide, see where I'm at. Okay, it's very hard to explain seasoning and taste and herbs and spices and things of that nature when we are not together as a group. But for this particular slide, I'm going to do the best I can to try to explain something. And let's just stay away from the salt for this point, but let's just say, see how this, I'll use the red here. This is the larger pepper grinder there on the scale, and the scale is down. Let's say you're using too much pepper. If you have too much pepper, it's no good. It'll be overpowering. But at the same time, let's use a blue arrow here. Not a blue, let's go green. At the same time, if you just put a tiny little sprinkle of pepper, too little, it's not going to do any good. You just shouldn't put it in there in the first place. And that, as a cook, it takes time to learn this. And it's that balance. It is that balance between the two. Once again, don't add too much at one time because you can't take it out. We also discussed, you have to remember when you're cooking in a restaurant, or for other people for that matter, you know, maybe somebody's saying, I put too much, you know, I'm like, this tastes a little peppery to me. They're like, well, I like pepper. You know, well, it's not about you. You're not cooking for you. You're cooking for other people. Always consider your guest or your customer when you're seasoning things. So you've got to find a fine line between the balance between those things. All right, I hope that made sense. And I'm trying to figure out the best way I can to explain it. But I hope that worked a little bit. Okay, look, right here, Q2 folder. I don't like the green, I'm going red. Click on that Q2 folder. You're watching this video, then you're going to click on this quiz puzzle piece, and hey everybody, look, right now these are the questions to the quiz right here in front of you. Okay, it is better to underseason your food you're making than to overseason it. Hey, guess what? That's true. You're better off to underseason. I'm not saying you should underseason food, but when in doubt, underseason. Let's see if anything else we've gone over so far. Oh, what's the best choice of salt for cooking, especially for professional cooks? That's a multiple choice question, and that is going to be kosher. We just went over that. Hope you can read that. We're going to talk about spices here in a second, so pay attention. Okay? Which is the following is an example of a spice. I will show you some examples. I'll give you a hint. If there's no leaves on them, they're probably all spices, okay? But you just take a look. There's even pictures on that. Fresh herbs such as parsley should be added at the end of the cooking process. I think it says the end of the cooking process should be added at the end of the cooking process to keep the vibrant green color and freshness of the herb. That is true, and I'll go over that here in a second. And stay tuned to this spice part too. What is the difference between herbs and spices? Well, as you can see here, well, we can just go to the next slide, I think. What's the difference? This is obviously, these are herbs, and here, right here is this orange. Hopefully you can see it. Those are spices, okay? Herbs come from leaves or soft stems of plants, okay? This is an herb. You see the nice leaves there, and these stems are actually, they can be edible. They're soft. Now there are exceptions to that. I'll show you that in a second. I think the test question is which of the following is an herb, and I think I showed various things, but the answer is this, and that's parsley right here. That is an herb. So if you're paying attention, I think it's even B, parsley, okay? Exceptions. Now, we talk about these soft herbs. These are the things that need to be added last minute to keep the green color and the freshness. When you get into these, and once again, I understand it's very hard to explain this without having these things in front of you, but these are called hard herbs, and they don't have to be added at the last minute. They're much more hardy, much more stable. A lot of times you can add those at an earlier cooking time, but you got to remember sage and rosemary especially are very hard. And then on this part here, this is a little different too. These are bay leaves. They are an herb, but this is a dried herb, and it can be quite strong as well. I would put this in the hard herb category. And you can get those fresh as well. All right. Spices. These are all this stuff right here. All this stuff here and here. These are all spices. Spices like cinnamon are made from aromatics. They're seeds, bark, flowers, berries, and roots of plants that have been dried and crushed. Now, not necessarily all these have been dried and crushed. Some of them have been whole. So I think one of the test questions will be which of the following are spices. I think there's a cinnamon. There's pictures. There's cinnamon. That's a spice. Black peppercorns. I don't know where that is on here. Is a spice. And I think the other one is fresh ginger. That is also still considered a spice since it is a root. Okay. Ginger, root, spice. And I think the answer to that question is all of the above. Sorry, I'm writing sideways. So now, remember, if you miss one on the quiz as well, you got 3 tries, people. You got 3 tries. And you shouldn't have any problem on the first one. But if you make a mistake for some reason, take it again and it'll put the grade in there for you. And you'll be fine. So, once again, have a nice weekend. Any questions or concerns, message me. Please keep up with your other classes. And I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.